The International Space Station currently flying 250 miles over China in an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator. Now we have physical separation.
Computed, we have physical separation.
Undocking confirmed at 11:47 and 50 seconds p.m. Central Time.
So 1, 2. We see the docking interface that's clean. How copy? Inaudible. Copy.
20 meters, 3 clear.
Okay, thank you, Don.
Don Pettit speaking in Russian to Russian flight controllers, relaying parameters and Soyuz systems status. Once again, the Soyuz spacecraft undocking, the TMA-03M flying free from the International Space Station, undocking occurring at 11:47 and 50 seconds p.m. Central Time, as the Soyuz and the International Space Station flew 250 miles over China.
9. Okay, I9. Okay, G5 selected.
At this point, Oleg Kononenko is currently activating the digital autopilot system on this spacecraft for a test of the systems associated with that component. Again, this is a test that was pre-planned, designed to test the system in advance of its use in the future, should it become necessary for a manual docking of the Soyuz to the International Space Station's Russian segment.
Stabilization, yes. Go ahead and activate it. We activated stabilization. We have the message illuminated. Range of 5 squares. Inaudible. 10 meters. 10 meters. Make sure that the target is in the OSK, in the center of the OSK. We're keeping it in the 10-degree range, in the 10-degree zone. Oleg, give us the range for VSK. 4.
14 метров. Да, принято.
Inaudible.
Давайте отвод на себя на 10 секунд. До дальности.
Okay.
Принято.
Copy.
Выдаю.
50 это между 1,5 и
5-0 is about 1.5 squares. Okay, I sent 10 seconds. We're starting. 2.5 squares. 26.
You're listening to Soyuz Commander Oleg Kononenko relaying data from his digital autopilot system on the Soyuz TMA-03M, again part of a test to validate the capability of this system for manual dockings in the future. The Soyuz in the process of executing a pair of separation burns, small thruster firings that will ultimately enable the Soyuz to drift to a distance of about 12 kilometers from the International Space Station for its deorbit burn at 2:19 a.m. Central Time, 3:19 a.m. Eastern Time, the start of the trek home for Pettit, Kononenko, and Kuipers.
Are you copying? Yes. Yes, we're approaching the range of 1.5 squares. Yes, we now have echo. Range is 1.5 squares. I am decreasing the velocity. Okay, a hand controller away from myself. Range is 1.5 squares, which is 45 meters. So should I rotate along?
The Soyuz is currently in a station-keeping maneuver for this digital autopilot test that Kononenko is providing for the Russian flight control team and the engineers on the ground at the Russian Mission Control Center outside of Moscow.
I release.
Now you can see the roll maneuver that is being executed by Kononenko. This in preparation for a second and final separation burn that will begin the ability of the Soyuz vehicle to drift away from the station for the last time. Left on board the station, the new Expedition 32 commander, Gennady Padalka. Expedition 32 now formally underway at the time of undocking.
Ready for the test.
Joined by NASA flight engineer Joe Akaba and Russian flight engineer Sergei Revin, who will have the station to themselves for the next 2 weeks until new crewmates arrive in the form of Sonny Williams, Yuri Malenchenko, and Aki Hoshide.
Okay, I'm deflecting roll to the left to the stop. I'm releasing. We have the indication that the PO is operating.
Now you can see through the digital autopilot a yaw maneuver that is being executed by the Soyuz.
5 seconds. We have depot operation approaching center route to the right for 5 seconds. We see motion depot operation no longer eliminated. A route for burn. Range. Range is a little bit more than, a little bit greater than 1.5, whereas maybe a little bit like 1.8. We see motion 1 square releasing the hand control of the bow operation. We see return.
The digital autopilot test by Kononenko continues. The Soyuz maintaining a station-keeping posture. A second separation burn and a final separation burn from the station scheduled about 3 minutes from now.
5 seconds. 10 seconds. We see motion down. 15 seconds. We see burn. 25 seconds. Neutral position. Operation is no longer eliminated. Okay, sending 18. Okay. E17. Okay, route and control down. Executing. 3 seconds. The PO operation is no longer eliminated. We have completed the test. MCC Moscow, how copy? I copy all. I'm going to bring the docking assembly into the VSK center. I have 125 or 1.5 squares should be your range. Okay, copy. Antares.
This view now coming in your upper left-hand corner from an external camera on the Soyuz vehicle, looking directly at the Rosviet module that the spacecraft separated from about 9 minutes ago. Undocking again occurring just a few seconds before 11:48 p.m. Central Time. The undocking occurring over China at an altitude of 250 statute miles. Kononenko fired the thrusters on the Soyuz vehicle to back away from the station to a distance of about 50 meters for the checkout of a digital autopilot system on the Soyuz that one day may be used for manual redocking of a Soyuz vehicle to the International Space Station. standing by for a second and final separation burn to maintain an opening distance for the Soyuz to a range of about 12 kilometers away from the station, where the deorbit burn of the Soyuz will take place about 2 hours and 22 minutes from now.
Kind of went out of our way a little bit in the pitch. Other than that, I think everything was pretty stable. Right now is about 0.8 of a square, and we're backing out. Copy.
Meanwhile, down in Kazakhstan, helicopters are en route, part of the Russian search and recovery forces known as Rosaviatsia. They are en route from the staging city of Karaganda down to either Zhezkazgan, a town to the southwest of Karaganda at a distance of about 460 kilometers, where the helicopters will be refueled. Several of the helicopters will be airborne within the next 20 minutes or so from Karaganda directly to the prime landing site. They'll all converge at the time that the Soyuz vehicle arrives under its main parachute for touchdown that is scheduled at 3:14 and 34 seconds a.m. Central Time.
And right now,
the second separation burn has now been executed by Oleg Kononenko. The Soyuz TMA-03M now drifting to a safe distance away from the International Space Station for the deorbit burn that is scheduled at 2:19 and 14 seconds a.m. Central Time. It now will be a 4-minute, 15-second braking maneuver to slow the Soyuz down by 115.2 meters per second, enabling it to drop out of orbit for its descent back into the Earth's atmosphere and a touchdown on the southeastern steppe of Kazakhstan, completing 193 days in space for Oleg Kononenko, Don Pettit, and Andrei Kuipers, 191 days on board the International Space Station. Expedition 32 now officially underway on the complex under the command of the first three-time commander of the International Space Station, Gennady Padalka.
A square and a half. V13, this one, 3, not illuminated, accelerometer not illuminated, repress not illuminated, RRP program, and is being selected at this time. Mode. RRP program, not illuminated. E1, go ahead and send that, please. In work, E1. E6. E6 or E8. V8, I'm sorry, I misled you. Yes, V8. Please send that command, Andre. L2. Copy, L2. Good copy. L2. L18. Did you send that command? Yes. V18. We're passing by ATV, Andre, by the way. So V18 still needs to be sent. Switch over and work.
Andrei Kononenko reminding his board engineer, Andrei Kuipers, who is strapped into the seat to Kononenko's left in the descent module of the Soyuz spacecraft, to take a look, one final look at the Johannes Kepler automated transfer vehicle that has made it to the aft end of the Zvezda service module. The Soyuz is phasing directly below and behind the International Space Station, ultimately to a distance of 12 kilometers for the deorbit burn. That will be coming up about 2 hours and 18 minutes from now.
Almost nothing. Moscow, we're done with closeout ops. Copy. Schedule parameters 166, 167, pressure. And for pressure 528, copy. Did you switch vizier? Yes, we did. Copy. By the next compass, please be prepared to start descent and re-entry up. We will be ready.
The Soyuz commander, Oleg Kononenko, at the time of landing here in the next few hours, will have wrapped up 392 days in space on his 2 flights. He flew as part of Expedition 17 4 years ago. Kononenko will wind up in 14th place on the all-time list for space endurance.
Relay, though, right?
Don Pettit, with the completion of this mission, will rank 4th on the all-time list for most time in space by an American astronaut. His 370 days in space puts him behind Mike Fink, Peggy Whitson, and Mike Foale on the all-time U.S. space endurance list. Andrei Kuipers of the European Space Agency completing 204 days in space on his 2 flights, having flown up and down on a Soyuz flight for the European Space Agency, 11 days on his initial mission back in 2004.
Make sure you know what to expect. And Sasha, did you watch telemetry during the test? Yes, we did. And? Right now, we're analyzing telemetry that we got. We think, from what we saw through the TV cameras during the separation of the vehicle, everything looks good. And preliminary parameters look good for the test. Okay, and was it recorded? Oleg, it was recorded. Very good.
Oleg Kononenko, the Soyuz commander, strapped into the center seat of the descent module, the center section of the Soyuz spacecraft, receiving good reports from the Russian flight controllers at the Russian Mission Control Center outside Moscow on the completion of that digital autopilot test, once again verifying a component, an upgraded component in the Soyuz spacecraft that would enable a redocking or a manual docking of a Soyuz to the Russian segment of the station in the unlikely event of the failure of an automated cores system on board the complex. This would enable a Soyuz commander to manually fly the Soyuz vehicle in for a docking in a much more facile manner than before, without the station crew having to tend to the reorientation of the station.
Antares, Mission Control Moscow, go ahead. No, actually, it was Gennady calling the ISS flight control room.
Да, переконфигурация сделана, можно в СГ-1 с нами разговаривать даже. Все хорошо, на природе все исходно.
The Soyuz TMA-03M, visible from cameras on the International Space Station as well as the complex, flying over the North Pacific at an altitude of 250 statute miles. Both spacecraft beginning a northwest to southeasterly track that will carry the 2 vehicles into an orbital sunset just a few minutes from now.
Москва, ответьте Антаресом.
Отвечаю.
Moscow, Antares. Go ahead, Antares.
Саш, наверное, можем передачу отжать уже.
Sasha, can we release the transmit button?
Можно передачу отжать, работать по тангенте.
Yeah, I think so. Let me just double check on that, but I think we're good with that, and you can press on for the rest of the free flight with the push-to-talk button to talk to us. Okay, and we're releasing the transmit button.
The Soyuz TMA-03M phasing away from the International Space Station. In the descent module, the center section, Oleg Kononenko, the Soyuz commander, flying under the call sign of Antares, which was also the name of the lunar module that landed on the moon on Apollo 14 in February of 1971 with Alan Shepard and Edgar Mitchell on board. The top section of the Soyuz, that bulbous section, that's the orbital module, and the lower section, the instrumentation and propulsion module with the solar arrays. Those three sections will separate in a pyrotechnic separation of the modules at 2:47 a.m. Central Time, about 28 minutes after the deorbit burn. The separation of the modules will enable the descent module to be reoriented with the heat shield flying first into the atmosphere to ablate or bleed off all of the heat that will be generated by the high-speed reentry of the Soyuz back into the Earth's atmosphere. Atmospheric entry reaching the first traces of the Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of about 400,000 feet will occur at 2:50 a.m. Central Time. That will be followed by the command to begin the sequence of parachute deployments. First, a drogue chute that will deploy. The drogue chute will cant the Soyuz spacecraft at an angle. The drogue chute, which measures about 24 square meters, will slow the Soyuz down from a descent rate of 230 meters per second to just 80 meters per second. That will be followed by the release of the main parachute, covering an area of about 1,000 meters. It slows the Soyuz to a descent rate of 7.2 meters per second. The harnesses first allowing the Soyuz to descend at an angle of 30 degrees to expel heat, and then shifting the Soyuz to a straight vertical descent. Just seconds before touchdown, of course, you are familiar with the firing of the soft landing engines. One final braking maneuver that will slow the Soyuz down and enable it to touch down on the southeast steppe of Kazakhstan, with the landing site about halfway between the towns of Jezkazgan